Okay, so I'm doing a deck tech on my 5-color Angel deck. So I'm just going to run through a few things real quick. Starting off, my commander is Maelstrom Angel. She's actually not technically legendary, so you can't run her normally. And just in case we have one of those people who wants to be a little bit of a rules spike, I do have a Togatog who's actually a 5-color legendary that we just use for the 5-color body. But if they let us use the Maelstrom Angel, we'll use it. If not, you side a card out for it so we can get her still in the deck. So we'll put her over here, and we'll go over the most important thing with a 5-color deck is being able to hit all of your colors. So we run all 10 of the dual lands. We run Steam Vents, Overgrown Tomb, Hallowed Fountain, Watery Grave, Godless Shrine, Temple Garden, Sacred Foundry, Stomping Grounds, Blood Crypt, and Breeding Pool. All 10 of the Shocklands. This is essential for any 5-color deck you're making, and it's no different here. The reason it's so essential is from our next little category here. We also run almost all of the fetch lands here. Keep hitting the camera because I'm an idiot. Windswept Heath, all these right here. I'm not going to say all the names, it's going to take forever. We run all of them but one, Scalding Tarn, and that's because it costs like $100, and I'm not paying that much for a fetch land. Even Marsh Flats, where is it? This one. Marsh Flats and Verdict Catacombs and Mystery Force, they were getting up there, but I decided to get them just so the deck would work. The reason is, if you don't know what these fetch lands are, they come into play, you can tap and sack them to get one of the land types out of the card. So this is a red-green one, so you can get a mountain or a forest. And it doesn't say basic. So that means, let's take for example, this Wooded Foothills. It grabs a mountain or a forest. That can grab any of these cards. Not this one. Not that one either. I just proved my point wrong. These. It can grab any of these. It basically turns this into a 5-color land. That doesn't go away either. Yeah, sure, you lose the land, but you keep the shock lands. If you wanted to be super, like, spiky about it and want your deck to be ultimately optimized, you would swap these out for the dual lands, the original dual lands, but since we don't have a pot of gold to pull from, we just end up rolling with that, and that works pretty good. So what we got here is our next little suite, which is these Buddy lands, which are lands that come into play untapped if you control one of the 2 land types that are on the card. So Sun Petal Grove, Rootbound Crag, Drowned Catacomb, Glacial Fortress, Hinterland Harbor, and Isolated Chapel. We only run these 6 because these are the most important for the deck. White is killer in this deck. It is an angel deck. White is by far required the most. The other ones I'm running are the green ones and then a blue one. The reason we run the green ones here is because we actually don't have any forests in the deck that are basic forests. You'll see later why that is, and I'll explain to it when we get into more of the non-land package. So let's go on to the 5-color lands and utility lands. So 5-color lands are really important in a 5-color deck. That makes sense to everybody. Forbidden Orchard, taps for 5 colors, gives your opponent a 1/1 spirit. You can do this in instant speed. This can save somebody from lethal blocker as long as they don't have trample. It can sway games in your favor just through political ability. I'll keep that on camera. Command Tower, no drawback, 5-color land. Perfect. Shimmering Grotto. Most of the time with this deck, as you're going to find out, we're going to be flooding the board with lands. The problem you're going to run into is not having the right colors, not having too much land. So the fact that you have to pay a mana, so it effectively makes you pay an extra mana for a spell to get your colors right, that's not really a downside. Reflecting Pool, we have so much stuff going on, normally that's going to be a 5-color land. Exotic Orchard, in Commander, you have 4 opponents, they're all playing different colors. Most of the time it's going to be a 4 or 5-color land. City of Brass, it's a 5-color land and it hurts us a little bit. You'll see this deck takes a lot of damage from that. We take full advantage of that life total advantage that Commander gives us. Croson Verge is an amazing card. Run it if you haven't. It's the only card I ever run that would come into play tapped all the time. So it comes into play tapped, it adds a colorless mana, but if you pay 2, tap and sack it, Croson Verge, you can get a forest or forest and a plains card, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. It doesn't say basic, they go right into play. That is basically just like another fetch land that grabs 2 of our colors. The ones that we really need, too. And then Homeward Path, I run huge guys in an Angel deck, obviously. All my guys are massive. Having somebody steal them from me is actually a loss. I just lose. So having one colorless land that does absolutely nothing for colors in a 5-color deck, I think is acceptable. And this is the best one for us. Now we'll move right along to the last little bit of the land section, which is basics. So I run white bordered lands on these just because they look cool to me. Let me just lay them on out here. So you can see kind of like the spread right here. We got 2 swamps, 3 plains, a mountain, and an island. We don't have any forests, like I was saying. Reason for that is, once we have one, we're done. Once we have one green source, that's all we'll ever need. Nothing ever costs more than 1 green. There's no 2 green symbols on any card in the entire deck. That is a good thing. Once we have 1 into play, we can ramp and grab all these other ones, which are much more. You're going to have 3 4-color white spell, or 3 4-intensity white spells, so you're going to need these. Same with swamps. Lots of swamp spells. Sometimes we want to cast more than 1 a turn. That's why we have 2 swamps. And these aren't that needed as much, so we just have 1 of them, just so we can round out our basic package. This is the lowest amount of basics I've ever run in a commander deck, and it really speaks to how hard 5-color is to hit. So let's stop messing around and go right into the creatures. So we got a lot of creatures. This deck's a tribal deck. It runs 31 creatures. This is our bread and butter. This is how we win games. It's a straight up fun 5-color angel deck. We're just going to run right through them. Archangel of Thune, you know what she does. If you don't know, you're crazy. Excuse me. Ooh, that was a good one. It's a 3/4 flying lifelinker, and whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. She's in here because she's an angel. Also, she pumps the team, so she's pretty good. Baneslayer Angel, what more could you ask for? Demons and dragons are actually pretty relevant in Commander. You might run into them. The 5/5 body's insane with flying and lifelink. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Mother of Runes is in a sort of a side category for us, which is protecting the angels. A lot of these angels will get killed because they're all real big threats, so this helps us either punch through a flying blocker for that last little bit of damage or protect our team. Really important. Archangel Avacyn, this is the one that's insane. It's got flash, vigilance, it comes into play, gives everything indestructible, which is insane, and then if a non-angel dies, which actually doesn't happen too much since it is an angel deck, but we do run some humans to maybe help that flip, she becomes a boss. Let me just show you her backside here. She flips, and then she deals 3 damage to everything, doesn't kill anything that we have except for our humans, which would be the only way to trigger her anyway. She becomes a 6/5 flyer. She is insane. When she flips, it's nuts. When she's straight up, it flips. Or when she's straight face up, it's ridiculous too. She's just all around amazing. She was a little bit expensive for a little bit. I held off on getting her until she dropped. I'm really happy about it. Ray of Dawnbringer. We have a lot of recursion in this deck. Reason being, like I said, these are our bread and butter. This is how we win the game. We don't do combos. We don't do any of that stuff. We win by straight up hitting you a lot. And sometimes, not a lot, if you have a lot of power with these angels. But this is the reason we can win games. We have a lot of recursion. People board wipe all the time in Commander. It's one of the most effective ways to remove creatures from the board. This, well, let me just read it. 4/6 flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. She costs 9, 3 white. That's ridiculous, and it's a really, really strong effect. That's why she costs as much as she does. Anytime that we, let me just put that over here. Anytime we're looking for a card, that is in my mind. Just because we have so many good cards in here, that's one of the ones that I'm really going to keep up on. Also, Bruna, the Fading Light. She returns an angel or a human, so any creature in our deck from the graveyard to the battlefield when she's cast, not when she enters the battlefield. 5/7 flying vigilance, and she melds with the other Gisela Broken Blade card, which we have, which has only happened once, but, you know, it can happen more often. So she's another reanimate on a 5/7 flying vigilant body. She's just a strong card. She can also get that meld off if that ends up happening. Sunblast Angel, all foily in its glory. It has flying for 6. And then when it enters the battlefield, it destroys all tapped creatures. If somebody alpha swings, if somebody does something crazy, if somebody's tapping stuff and manipulating the top of their library or smacking you in the face or whatever they're doing, this comes in and saves your butt a lot of times. Uvenwald Tracker. This is removal. Like I said, creatures are our bread and butter in this deck. I'm going to keep saying that. So the fact that we can have creatures fight other creatures because our creatures are massive, because they're flying angels, is basically another just recurrable spot removal spell for us. It's really good. Janara is a 3/3 flyer for she's really hard to cast because she's got only symbols in the mana there. It's pretty hard to cast her. But once you've got her down, you can pump her with +1/+1 counters for 2, and you can do that a whole bunch of times. It's not just once per turn. She gets massive. She can win games all on her own. If she's left around for like 3 or 4 turns with how much mana you can make in this deck, she's going to be swinging for like 9. It's just going to be ridiculous. Akroma is the it's the second most known angel of all time. It's a 6/6 with basically everything. Flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, protection for black and red. It's just really, really good. It's a solid angel. She costs a lot, but you won't really care once you get her in play. You'll understand why her cost is like that. Gisela the Broken Blade. She's the one that melds with that other card we were talking about. She can get brought back by that card. She's got flying, first strike, and lifelink. She's a low-cost 4/3 body with some pretty strong combat aspects. She hits the ground early. She leads us into our board state that'll be able to drop our big fatties later. We got Drum Hunter here. With our big fatties comes a great card draw. When you get big fatties into play, this guy draws you a card at the end of the turn. So even if you play this card and then pass the turn, you still get to draw a card, even before anybody else board wipes or does anything. And if she sticks around, she can tap for mana, which is good. Helps you get more big fatties out. Angel of the Dire. This card's a diamond in the rough. It only came out in the Commander set, which is why it's really hard to find this card, actually, if you didn't buy that. It has flash and flying, and when it enters play, you cast it from your hand, you exile all attacking creatures on a 5/4 flash flying body. It's just gross. It's one of those cards that once you play it in your play group one time, no one will ever swing at you if you have 7 mana open and play in this deck. They will fear this card for the rest of their entire Natural Born lives. Herald of War. She makes every card in this deck cost 1 less to cast for every +1/+1 counter on her. Synergizes with the Archangel of Thune. I almost forgot the name. That was close. She gets +1/+1 counters on her. Angels and humans cost 1 less to cast for every counter on her. That's every single creature card in the deck is an angel or a human. Or sometimes, I think there's actually one that's both. Maybe, who knows. So there you go. That's really strong. Plus she gets big, so you can really start dealing some damage. Luminous Angel. I almost didn't put this in the deck. How wrong I would have been. It's a 4/4 for 7. Meh, right? Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 flying spirit token into play. That takes a second before it gets ridiculous, but 3 turns in, she's paid for herself. Anything after that's just value. This card can take over games just by winning the board state. Most guys don't have tramplers unless they're real big, and if they're real big, you have spot removal for that. Sigarda Heron's Grace, also a card I'm not really proud of, but she's an angel, so she's got to go in the deck. You and humans you control have hexproof. That's sometimes useful, but we only run a few humans in the deck, and it only really just helps us marginally. You can exile cards from your graveyard, and put 1 human soldier on the battlefield for each creature, or for each thing you exile that way, for 2 mana. She ends up taking over the board state. If you play her last in your hand, and you have all this open mana, you just be like, alright, I exile all these cards and I get like 6 humans. It can help you sometimes, but it's not a card that we're going to be searching out all too often. Sigarda Host of Herons. This card's awesome. It's a 5/4 with flying hexproof. You can't sacrifice creatures or permanent. Actually, just permanents. Holy crap. I don't even read my cards. What am I doing? So, it's really, really strong. People run it for commander. That's how strong it is. People run it as the leader of their deck. It's so good that this card alone is going to win you more games than most cards in the entire deck. Speaking of cards that are going to win you games, the most well-known angel of all time, Avacyn, Angel of Hope. 8/8, flying, vigilance, indestructible. Everything's indestructible. This card needs to get dealt with almost immediately or you win the game. She will get removed 9 times out of 10, but that one time you will immediately win. Having all your massive dudes that we just went through, and more ones we're going to go through, be indestructible is you will steal games away with that. Aurelia, also a really good angel. She has vigilance and haste. She's a 3/4, and when she attacks, you untap all your creatures and hit again. This can kill people outright, especially once you get a couple reanimation effects in there. Gisela, also a way you can just kill people outright. 5/5 flying first strike. Whenever a source deals damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage. Whenever something hits you, you take half. Or stuff you control, by the way. So, and that's just not what damage you deal. So if you play her and got Guy A and Guy B that have been going at it the whole time, all of a sudden they're dealing double damage to each other. So they can just hit each other real hard. But if they come after you, it's not really as good because you're just wasting your time, really. So this is actually a political card and also can steal away games. Emeria Angel, 3/3 flying landfall for 4. When land comes into play, you get a bird, a 1/1 flying bird. That seems pretty mediocre, right? After we just went through all those fetch lands, you're constantly having lands coming into play, cycling them, things are getting bounced all around. You get so many birds. You can play this turn 3-ish with the ramps. We got 3. I've done it in turn 2 pretty consistently too. And it's just birds for days. You block everything that you can't deal with, and then it just goes off from there. Adakar Valkyrie. This card's pretty sweet too. It's got a hidden little ability that most people I don't think understand. So it's a 4/5 flying vigilance for 6. When target creature other than her dies this turn, return to the battlefield under your control. You have to tap her to do that. So she can hit you, and then if you block her with something, she can tap and take it from you. It's not your creatures that die. It's your opponent's creatures in combat. You just steal them. It's ridiculous, and you don't even have to be the one that kills them. At a 4-person game, you can just sit here, hit you for 4, hit you for 4, hit you for 4, and if they ever chump block, you steal it. If somebody else kills something huge with a spot removal spell, you steal it. It's just really, really good. You get all the things you want at a discount price of tapping. Thalia's Lancers. It's a human, so it counts. It's a 4/4 first striker that comes into play. You get to search your library for a legendary card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That's basically a tutor. Just from the stuff we went over right now, we're not even I think we are a little bit more than halfway through. But almost all of the angels that are really good are legendary. So it's basically a tutor effect. Boom, there you go. Anya. She just came out in the new commander set. She's ridiculous. If you don't know what she does, 3, a red and a white, 4/4, flying. Anya gets +3/+3 for each opponent that has less than their starting life total. Already pretty good. She's 7/7 for 5, flying. As long as she's getting this bonus, she's got indestructible. What? She's way too good. She's really, really good. That stacks. It's just... if you can start hitting people, or even when other people have started hitting people, she becomes a wall of doom. You can't get past her. She's a 7/7 indestructible. She swings like a frickin' truck. It's just really strong. Angelic Arbiter is a 5/6. He helps you with the later game when people are starting to storm off, because you're only running creatures, really. So it's really hard to interact with decks that are like Stormy or, Is It? So this helps you deal with that. They either cast spells or attack, either one. So, and that's only to opponents. And he's also on a 5/6 body. So they can't be mixing them up. They can't be pumping up their guys and swinging at you. So you get a little bit of leeway with this card. This really helps keep the board from surprising you. Birds of Paradise just taps for any other mana we need it for 1 green. This, like I said, it's a 5-color deck. It's kind of hard to hit all your colors. Angel of Despair is a Vindicate on a 5/5 flying body. That's amazing. Death Pact Angel is another gem in the rough. So it's a 5/5 for 7, or 6. So let me just talk about this for a second. When she dies, she puts this guy into play. This little cleric guy. He's a 1/1. And he has tap, sack it, pay the mana of the angel, return this angel to play. She survives every board wipe every time. You're going to have to blow a removal spell on a 1/1 cleric in order to get her off the board completely. She's just super resilient. She eats removal spells like a champion. Speaking of eating removal spells, Admonition Angel. 3 white, another triple white cost. 6/6, flying, landfall. Like I said, we have landfall triggers happening 1,000 times a day. Hold on. There we go. Another good one. When a land comes into play, you exile a non-land permanent. That's insane. All these problem enchantments, just get them off the board. I'm just eating them alive. It's really, really good. Problem is, when she dies, they all go back to the battlefield. So you want to be careful when you play that card, especially if you're exiling stuff with enter the battlefield triggers. Intrepid Hero, he's a, what is it, reprisal on a body. He kills something with power 4 or greater just by tapping. He's a human, so he gets hexproof from some of our guys. He's got a lot of really good protection, and he's just kind of like a scary thing. It's like, hey, don't play nothing big or I'll kill it. So these usually are good effects to keep around. I think that's a pretty good card. Linvala the Preserver is another one of these ones that just came out too. She's a 5/5 for 6 flyer, right? Okay, that's pretty decent right there. When she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than me, or I have less life than an opponent, I guess, you gain 5 life. So, meh, you know, that's pretty good. It's efficiently costed. But if you have less creatures than an opponent, you get a 3/3 flying angel. I mean, in a 4-player game, there's going to be one person that has like the board state, and you're going to get something off this. Just think about it. So a 6 mana cost, flying 5/5, that gains you life, that actually has 8 power spread across 2 creatures. What else could you ask for? It's great. And then you also have the Maelstrom Angel. She's a 5/5 for all 5 colors with flying. And when she deals combat damage to a player, you put a permanent from your hand, or you cast a card from your hand. You play a non-land permanent from your hand without paying its mana cost. So basically, yeah, like, bam, 6-drop. You know, whatever it is, a chroma. It's a really, really good card. So let's go over a few of the ramp spells that I've been babbling on about. So we have Farseek. This gets you a plains, island, swamp, mountain, forest, swamp, you know, all that type of stuff. All the land types, but non-basic. So you can get any of them, put them into play tapped. It's a really strong card. It helps you mana fix. Far Wanderings is a card that I just put in this deck, and I actually think it's pretty good. So for the 2 and the 3 that most ramp spells cost and the sorcery speed, you get a basic land into your battlefield tapped. Show your library. Meh, you know, whatever. But if you have Threshold, you get 3 into play tapped. Ugh! If you have your fetch lands in your graveyard, right, and you're running low on mana late game, you don't actually want to play this early game because it's kind of shit. But, oh man, if you can get this Threshold to come off, bam. You get so many cards in your graveyard in this deck, that's basically not a downside. So it's a ridiculous ramp spell. Chromatic Lantern. It's really good in a 5-color deck. Run it in any 5-color deck. I run it in 3-color decks just because it's really good. It's mana ramp because it taps for 3. It costs 3. It taps for a mana itself of any color. It makes all your lands into 5-color lands. Explosive Vegetation. Not really anything I can say about this card that hasn't already been said. You get 2 basic lands into play tapped for 4 mana. It's good enough for me. It triggers landfall twice. Soul Ring, because Soul Ring, you need it. Let's move on to some card draw. Card draw is an effect that a lot of decks miss out on. So this is a card that I like a lot. Sphinx's Revelation. With all the mana we have in the deck from all the ramp spells, you get a lot of really good stuff out of that. Sylvan Library. It's a draw spell in green. What more do you want? You want it. You know you want it. You get to draw 3 cards and basically get to filter if you don't want to take life. Deep Analysis draws 4 cards over 2 turns with flashback. Ristic Study draws a crap ton of cards if people don't want to pay for it. Fact or Fiction's just good. For X Arena, you get to pay 1 life each turn to draw an extra card. Treasure Cruise, like I was just talking about. You have so much stuff in your graveyard. You're just filling it up. Filling it up with great stuff. Next is my spot removal category. With this deck, we prefer spot removal to board wipes because our guys are on the board, so we wanna kill their stuff without killing ours. Putrefy, Terminate, Hero's Downfall. They just kill things and planeswalkers and artifacts. Vindicate kills anything. Granted, it's sorcery speed. That's really, really good and versatile. Utter End exiles anything that's not a land for 4 mana. That's strong too. Anguish Unmaking is my favorite card. Exile non-land permanent. You lose 3 life at instant speed. What more could you want other than exile a permanent, right? It's ridiculous. It's so good. I have only 1 counterspell, Arcane Denial, for the times that you need it, and even that's really not that mean of a counterspell because they get to draw a card and you get to draw a card. Sylvan Reclamation is a brand new card that just came out in the 4-color commander set. It's amazing. You exile 2 artifacts and or enchantments at instant speed for 5, or you can basic land cycle it. It's a ramp spell when you need it. Instant speed, remove 2 when you don't. It's better than Return to Dust in my opinion because it's instant speed. The other one is 2, but it only gets 1 if you use it. And then Swords to Plowshares, because Swords to Plowshares, it's really good. It's one of the best removal spells in the format. Having said all the things about how board wipes, I don't want them, I run 2 of them. 1, because Terminus, it's Avacyn-y, you know? I just feel angel-y about it. You can Miracle it, puts all creatures on the bottom of their libraries. That's probably one of the cards that, if any, you could take out. That's normally the one I take out if I'm going to put Maelstrom Angel in there. And then Merciless Eviction. The reason we keep this one in here is because it has so many modes, it has so many things. If someone's running an artifact deck, it's a one-sided board sweep. If somebody's running an enchantment deck, gone. Planeswalkers, Super Friends, gone. Creatures, if we need to. So it's really, really strong. The next category I got here is cards that didn't really fit into any other category. We have Leyline of Anticipation. We want to give all of our guys flash here. We just like to be able to play our big fatties when we're not going to get removed as much. Debtor's Knell, the recursion I was talking about, gets a guy into play every single time at our upkeep. The thing about this one is it doesn't have to be our graveyard. So we can steal some stuff from other people's graveyards, especially if they're using some shenanigans with their graveyard. Since these Divining Top filters are top of our library really well. Lightning Greaves gives our guys that all needed protection. Also haste, which is really, really good, especially because most of our guys don't already have it. On Treat the Angels, there's a Miracle. You can see a little Miracle sub-theme going on. It's a Miracle card that makes a crap ton of angels. If they're angels, they go in the angel deck. We have 2 tutors outside of the Thalia Lancers. These are both solid cards. They're one of the best from tutor effects in the colors we got. So, Dark Demonic Tutor. Search for any card in your deck, put it in your hand for 2 mana. It's amazing. It's the best. Everyone knows about it. Eladamri's Call is a little bit different. It's an instant, which is you know, as opposed to the Sorcery Spirit. Green-white, so it's a little bit more intensive too, and you get only a creature and you put it right into your hand. Since our deck, like I said, is stacked full of massive creatures, this is basically anything we need it to be. If it's not card draw, not ramp, not a spot removal spell, it's going in there. Sometimes we even have some of those in there, like I was saying before. So this card's amazing. It rounds out the deck perfectly. That right there, sirs, is my 5-color Angel deck. I really like it. It's really good, but it's not too good where it's oppressive. You know, you're not going to get swamped by it. You're not going to get hated off the table for playing 5-color Angels. And this deck, above all decks, gets a lot of those looks like, what are you playing? That looks cool. Oh, look at all these cool cards. And you get to play with all the cool big angels. You get to play with all the cool big angels. And I love angels. I mean, that's so good. Leave in the comments below if you have any questions or anything about the deck. Or just discuss angels. Angels are cool. Why not play big angels? Alright, that's been Madbox200 with another original video. Thank you guys for watching.